Yeah, I firmly believe that every human being that has ever walked the face of the earth has some spark of creativity. I think that artists are blessed to be aware that they have their creativity, and I think that with that awareness comes an obligation to serve, to be a servant, and that's what my art, in terms of theater, has meant to me. Particularly as an African American, I have found that I've been able to use the stage pretty effectively to address a number of issues. And in so much as equity, diversity, and inclusion is concerned, um, the way I got started, I wanted to be a playwright. And I've been writing all my life, but I wanted to write plays. And so I wrote my very first play way back in 1978. And at about that same time, I heard an interview that Quincy Jones did. And Quincy, for all of those reasons that we just talked about, equity, diversity, and inclusion, he was having difficulty getting his music produced. And he said something that stuck with me and rang like a gong to me. He said that he realized that if he wanted to get his work done, he needed to produce it himself. And that's what he started doing. And that has been a method that I've used ever since. And so far as using the theater as a tool of social advocacy, I've used the stage as well as television and film, and just really making a foray into film. But using the stage to address a variety of issues that impact the African American community. One stellar example that comes to mind is, I say stellar because of the reach that it has had. I was doing fatherhood groups in the Norfolk City Jail. In fact, doing fatherhood groups, and they were called fatherhood, but basically I was doing self-empowerment, but using fatherhood as a platform to do that. And I did it at the Norfolk City Jail and several other institutions, penitentiaries. And as soon as I started doing that program, I realized that fathers, incarcerated fathers, had a voice that was itself imprisoned from everyone else. No one knew the experience of an incarcerated father. And so I listened to their stories, and I decided to do what I often do. I wrote a play called The Fifth, about 5 generations of men that were all impacted by the repeated incarceration of one of those generations. And the fifth was done locally. And there was a group in DC that heard about this production. I did it in Norfolk. It was called the National Center for Strategic Nonprofit Planning and Community Leadership. They eventually shortened their name. It was NCPL. They heard about my play, and they were about to do the first International Fatherhood Conference in San Francisco. And so we were invited to stage a play out there, and we did it. And when I came back, and this is why it's important, when I came back, I was working for the Virginia Department of Health, Norfolk District. When I came back, the health department gave me a paltry $5,000 to videotape the film. But that videotape has been distributed around the country for people doing fatherhood programs. And I think that, again, that's a stunning example as to how the theater can be a very effective tool in addressing social advocacy, increasing awareness of a diverse number of things that the people are dealing with. And from my perspective, that's African American. And also an opportunity to motivate people to action, to call people to action. And for me, this whole journey, that's really what it's been all about ever since I can recall. I mentioned that I made a foray into film recently. I've done some mini docs and some short film. One mini documentary was called Giving Angels Wings. As a young man, a much younger man, I lost a son at the age of 4 months. And I attended and this is again just another example as to how I've been able to use theater and film. I attended an infant mortality conference in Williamsburg, and they were talking about the effect of infant death on mothers. There was no discussion at all about fathers. And so I stood up and I challenged them. And I said, well, what about the fathers? The next thing I knew, the state was kicking me $10,000 to do a short film on that subject. And it was called Giving Angels Wings. It won Mid-Atlantic Black Film Festival People's Choice Award. And I featured 4 fathers who had lost their children, their infant children. And it's something that I could speak to as a producer and a director and a writer because of my own personal experience. But it provided an opportunity to educate people. Most recently, I won a Telly Award for a film entitled The Black Walnut. I'm also a prostate cancer survivor. I don't necessarily always write about things that affect me personally, but I had the benefit of early detection from being a prostate, having it diagnosed early, and I did not have a lot of issues. But a lot of Black men don't get to it right away, and they have some tragic consequences often. So I decided to do this film, The Black Walnut. And beyond that, the one I'm really excited about that's going to premiere on November 1st at the Nero is a film called The Angels and the Details. It's about my church, the Basilica of St. Mary of the Immaculate Conception, the only African-American basilica in the nation. And we recently underwent a $6.7 million renovation. And as a part of the renovation, we found 2 underground tunnels. Can you believe it? And those tunnels bear incredible significance locally for the simple fact that the Basilica of St. Mary was built in 1858 because its predecessor, St. Patrick's, was burnt down because they were allowing Black folks to attend. There was a African-American woman by the name of Mary Lou Vest, and you might recall hearing that name, Paul, from we did Casting History. Mary Lou Vest attended my church. When we did Casting History, I wasn't aware that she attended my church. Mary Lou Vest was a spy during the Civil War. She copied the plans to convert the Merrimack, which was a Union ship, into the Confederate ship Virginia. And in 1862, she made her way, this very Black woman, a member of my church, made her way all the way up to the Washington, D.C. to see the Secretary of the Navy, Gideon Wells, to give them copies of the plans. And the real sweet thing about this, and I'll stop at this, when she was a young woman, she was a free Black. And there were a number of free Blacks in Norfolk back in that time. But as a young woman, we figured maybe 23, 24, she bought a slave, a 10-year-old slave boy. Why would this Black woman buy a slave boy? We concluded that she bought him to keep him away from his master. And the thing that's so sweet about that is at the age of 18, he became a conductor on the Underground Railroad. Now remember, there were 2 underground tunnels found beneath my church. We had no idea they were there. So for me, the theater is a really potent tool. And one thing that's so incredible about it is that, there's nothing like the live theater. I love film, okay, but there's nothing like the live theater because of the immediacy of it. The energy, that exchange of energy between the audience and the performers on stage is beyond compare, it's beyond match. But on the flip side of that, television and film affords you a different type of intimacy. That is the intimacy that you can get with a camera lens, where the proximity of that the lens can get to the subject. No one can do that with the natural eye. So it offers a different type of intimacy, but just as valuable. And so they are unique forms. but both of them are just critically viable and potent tools to educate, enlighten, and inform.